Forestry Sports Show. Let's get it.
Welcome back to the 4th Street Sports Show. It is your host, Smooth Oz, with the guys today. Glad to have you back on. We skipped a week, guys, because of Mardi Gras, but we are back. To my right, I have Charlie and Jackson. Jackson's growing a little beard there. Demon's to my left, and I have Nathan, and we have in the booth Kelsey, and shout out to Ethan right there, the Cowboys fan. We love to see it. Yeah, but we're going to jump into this show. Guys, it's a special show. We have two special guests on and head coach of the women's basketball team here who's won their first regular season title since 1993. We have Coach McNelis, and we have star player with us beside us right here. We have Domonique Davis. We're glad to have them on. We'll interview them in a little bit. And basketball is on the roll, guys. The men's side, they take the outright regular season title for the first time since 2001. That's the year I was born, man. So, hey.
Me too.
Yeah.
So I didn't put it in those terms. That's pretty wild.
It's pretty wild to see. But it's been a long time coming. But without further ado, we'll jump into our Eagle Eye and hand it over to Dima. He has a lot to say about this.
Yeah, well, obviously the biggest news that we can start with is obviously the big news of Southern Miss sweeping the regular season title in both lady basketball and men's basketball, both regular season champions after a wild finish of the season. Both teams needed something to happen the final night and for them to win, and both happened. So that's the first time in program history that's happened in the same season, and the first time in the Sun Belt since 2013. So this in the Sun Belt in general, any team, that's the first time that's happened since 2013. So Southern Miss men's basketball lost the first game of the week at Old Dominion, but they handled their business at Texas State and earned the title thanks to Old Dominion's victory against Marshall. So Old Dominion actually beat the number one seed 2 times in the same week to have Southern Miss win the regular season title. They finished with the most wins in a regular season in program history and the first title since the 2000 season. For the Lady Eagles, they entered the week having to win out for a shot at the double bye. They beat Troy at home and then finished a wild overtime game against Louisiana to share the season title with James Madison and Texas State. That's only the third time the Lady Eagles have earned a season title in program history. So, gentlemen, me, Charlie, Austin, and Nathan will be headed down to Pensacola to watch this all unfold. And Charlie, I'm sure you're looking forward to hitting the beach this weekend.
I said this back like in December, I think. When I saw I was going to be in Pensacola, I was like, we are going no matter what. We will be there. And just for this, things to turn out this way, it's just been really amazing to see. And I forgot who said it a couple weeks ago about, one program does well, the other program kind of builds on it. Jay. It's really true. I mean, right now, just this whole week, what we'll get into, everybody just had a great week this week. Probably, like, in my memory, the best week for Southern Miss basketball, just for both programs. Friday night was wild. I know y'all were doing some different stuff. I was working, and I was trying to keep up on my phone with everything that was going on. It's like all the dominoes fell.
We were at the baseball game, covering the game, and we had the women's game on the left screen, and the men's game on the right screen. We were writing stories and trying to cover the baseball game, so there's a lot happening at one time. So,
and just to add to that, I was literally at Pearl River Community College covering high school basketball. I always mess it up, but Mississippi high school basketball, and I was literally recording while my phone was in my left hand trying to watch the game, so that was pretty amazing to see.
Yeah, no, I was listening on the radio there in the press box at baseball, and listening to our good friend Jason Baker do the play-by-play when a certain somebody we'll interview later made a clutch steal in a basket to secure that victory. Just an electric moment and capping off a great week for Southern Miss sports.
Speaking of Jason Baker, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about,
True.
but he did catch a foul ball in the baseball game today.
Week too.
Somebody fouled it off the home plate. It ricocheted into the press box, and he caught it on air. So it was pretty cool. So sorry, just
legend.
It's been his week too.
Is that the new word now, Jackson? Legend.
Dog.
Of course.
We'll talk more about basketball coming up because we've got some people who can probably talk it more than us. And we'll talk about the bracket kind of later in the show. But like I said, we got a bunch of other sports that happened this week. Moving on to softball, Nathan was there. We'll have our guy Jackson kind of recap it as his, third favorite sport?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely up there. I mean, speaking of success stories, you can't look any further than softball. They've started out 12-1 in head coach Natalie Poole's first year with the program. A lot of people didn't see this coming. It's been quite a remarkable start to this season so far. The Golden Eagles went 4-0 on the week, now 12-1. That's the best start since 2010. Been a long time since that's happened. Southern Miss will face their first road test of the season this week against tough SEC opponent Alabama this Wednesday. We were just talking about that, me and Nathan, earlier. Then they're going to face Kennesaw State, Georgia Tech, and Brown University in the Georgia State tournament this weekend.
Yeah, it's interesting because the competition level, you know, they're going to have to step it up going into the Sun Belt, too. There's a lot of tough teams in the Sun Belt. And it's going to be interesting because Kennesaw State actually just beat Alabama. So we don't really know what team Alabama is yet, or Southern Miss, even though we see their record indicates that they can compete. So I think Wednesday's game is going to be a really good game to watch.
Where is Brown University?
You know, I don't know. I'm
Ivy
assuming
League,
it's
isn't it?
somewhere in Georgia. I probably should have looked that up. But yeah, Georgia State, they're going to be in Atlanta. So wrapping up for the rest of the week. There were plenty of...
Coach McNelis is saying it's up north. So.
Oh, okay. Then they're traveling. Tennis got a big win this week. Shamil Shahrial and Dakota Bobo took down the number 24 ranked doubles team in the country against LSU. So shout out and getting some tennis love here. Men's tennis did lose that match there, but they did win against Nicholls State, and the women's team also won against them too. And beach volleyball was actually in action while baseball games were going on just right across the street. They started the weekend 5-0. That's the best start in program history. And they're now traveling to the FAU March Invitational, so a different beach than Pensacola, still a nice place to go to. And football also announced all of its dates for the 2023 season, so you can make sure to visit sn2media.com to read Jackson's coverage.
Brutal schedule.
It's a tough schedule.
Brutal.
Yeah. But lastly, we're going to move on to baseball. So 4-0 start to the season, including Tuesday's win against UNO. Then kind of went downhill from that against Illinois. Probably will be a very, very good Illinois team, though. So Coach came on here talking about a couple weeks ago there's going to be some growing pains, you know, things to figure out early on, and obviously this weekend showed that. So we'll hear from Jackson on how this series went and what's on for the Southern Miss baseball team next.
The first 4 games of Southern Miss's 2023 campaign yielded a perfect record, but the Illinois series was anything but perfect. The Fighting Illini dominated Golden Eagle pitching all weekend, exploding for 35 runs across the weekend series. The Golden Eagles had only allowed 3 runs going into Friday. The bullpen was especially ineffective, as the relievers accounted for 25 of the 35 runs allowed, with 25 walks and 8 hit batters across the weekend. Here's what USM head coach Scott Berry had to say about the pitching.
Yeah, it's ugly. We've walked way too many people, given up way too many runs, and a lot of those runs were on the heels of those walks and hit batters. And you know, that's not who we are. That's not who we've been.
A total of 15 different relievers took the field over the course of the 3 games, and only Nick Monaster on Saturday and Luke Trahan on Sunday were able to deliver solid outings. Speaking of Saturday, that was USM's only victory of the series in a thrilling 5-hour and 17-minute contest featuring 9 lead changes. After being dominated 13-5 the day before, the Golden Eagles walked it off in the 11th inning on a Carson Pato single. The celebration would not last, though, as Illinois once again shellacked Southern Miss 9-4 on Sunday. All Barry could do was tip his cap to the Fighting Illini.
You know, honestly, the better team won this weekend. I mean, now the 2 out of 3 games, they played really well. I think consistently their offense showed up every single day. And that was the difference.
Though you can hardly fault Southern Miss for not being able to match Illinois' 35-run total, there were plenty of opportunities wasted. In all, the Golden Eagles stranded 44 base runners over the weekend, including 18 on Saturday. Third baseman Danny Lynch was able to drive 9 runners home across the 3 games, but he said there is much more that the offense has to do going forward.
kind of been the story of the year so far. I feel like we kind of, when we get punched in the mouth, we're really tough. We throw some punches back, but almost we've been waiting to get punched in the mouth a little too much.
The Golden Eagles are prepared for an all-out war this Tuesday as they eagerly await the in-state showdown against Mississippi State in Pearl. This is Jackson Howell reporting for the 4th Street Sports Show.
Thanks, Jackson, for that phenomenal wrap.
Yes.
As Jackson stated, it will be a tough weekend for the Golden Eagles. They will give up a total of 35 runs, opposed to the previous week where they would only give up just 3 total runs. Just 3 total runs, which is crazy. So I just want to open this discussion, guys, and just talk about what did you see from this week and where can the Golden Eagles go from here?
I'll go first. I don't necessarily think it was the worst week for Southern Miss baseball. I mean, obviously, their pitching definitely has some growing pains, but Illinois, man, they could swing the bat. Like they were just very smart in the way they had positioning in the batter's box. I was telling Jackson this when we were in there, and I was just saying, man, every single count seems like it's 3-2. Yeah. So when the count is 3-2, Scott Berry was telling us yesterday, like, you either got to throw them the fastball, which they're all over, or you're going to throw it outside and walk them. And Southern Miss had the most walks this weekend that I've really ever seen since in like a long time. That's very uncharacteristic of them. And when they would throw them that payoff pitch that was a strike, Illinois would take it for a single because they're just a great baseball team. Like they really were. And I just, like Charlie, you said in our huge baseball preview podcast, there's going to be some growing pains. I mean, this is a pitching staff who has 12 to 13 players who've never thrown a collegiate pitch before 2 weeks ago. So you're going to have some growing pains, and I think this week just showed it. And like I was telling people, it's better this week than in June.
Yeah.
So
Like I was going to say, they got punched in the mouth,
Yeah.
plain and simple. And it's better to get punched in the mouth this early than
Right.
later on in the season. Yeah, growing pains, they still have a lot of figuring out to do. They got to keep throwing relievers out there and pitchers and let them get comfortable going out there in those situations. A lot of young guys, like you said, Dima, really they just got to get that, not accountability, they got to get consistency is the word, but they just got to go out there and get comfortable and I mean, they got to get that experience, right? And right now, they don't really have that. And Scott Berry, after Saturday, he really called out the veteran guys, too. Said they have to take the charge and kind of lead by example a little bit more. He hasn't been seeing that so far. So tomorrow's going to be a real big test against in-state rival Mississippi State. Everybody's looking forward to that one.
Yeah, another thing about it is that Southern Misses, after their starting pitchers went out all 3 games, 29 of the 35 runs came. So that's almost like, 85% of the runs came when the bullpen came in. And the reason for that is because of how high the pitch count got for Tanner Hall, Matthew Adams, and Nico. I mean, Coach Berry was saying yesterday, I mean, after the 3rd inning, Nico's at 49 pitches or something like that, and the Illinois guy was like at 25, and that's just hard to do, especially right when Nico came out yesterday. It was like, okay, when is Illinois going to get going? And it was a 7 spot right when they took him out in the top of the 6th.
We saw what happened when a real good hitting team can go against Southern Miss. I remember plenty of times there being an 0-2 count or a 1-2 count, and Illinois fouls off pitches, works the count, and then, like you said, a lot of full counts, and they were able to capitalize. They just got to get that toned down going forward.
For sure.
I think the only thing that there has to be, some, I wouldn't say urgency, but just you got to look out because there's no breaks in this schedule. I mean, you learn, you learn your kind of weaknesses in the second week, and then you turn around and have to play State, who just hung 16 runs, 18 runs,
on number 12 Maryland.
Yeah,
decent.
Jeez.
And then you.
I mean, not Maryland. Excuse me. I was thinking of Ole Miss. My bad.
And then have to play the team that swept you last year.
It's Mississippi State Tuesday, Dallas Baptist this weekend, Ole Miss on the road next Tuesday.
It's rough.
Murderer's Row.
So we'll see.
We'll see. And like you guys have said, Scott Berry talked about some of these growing plays early on going on in the season. And a lot of these young guys, first time on the mound, and they're kind of having to adjust on the fly. So it shall be interesting. With that being said, guys, as you guys stated, Mississippi State up next, who is 5-3. They'll play them in Pearl at Trustmark Park this Tuesday. Demon will be there, and he will have the coverage on that for you all. We'll be right back after the break as we welcome in Ladies Eagles head coach Joye Lee-McNelis and guard Domonique Davis to talk about their wild finish to the regular season and what's next for them in the conference tournament. So we'll be back 4th Street Sports. Welcome back to 4th Street, and we have our interviewees on with us today. We have head coach Joye Lee-McNelis of the women's basketball team here on campus, and Domonique Davis.
To the top.
How are you gals doing today?
Good. Glad to be here with you.
Of course. Coach, just talk to me and Dom, squeeze in there a little bit. Just, what does it feel like to be Sunbelt regular season champs for the first time in almost 30 years now?
I think number one is that it's really been a journey for us, first of all, because we've had so many crazy injuries. With Dom having a ruptured disc in her back and continuing to play, most people would have shut down. She's had to go through certain rehab. She's had to get shots regular in her back. Today, she got 2 shots in her back today. We'll give a shout out to Advanced Pain Therapy, Dr. Sitzman over there. That's been taking care of her back for us. Then we have Femi Funes, which has rheumatoid arthritis, that's not able to practice much every day. Today she was really stiff, did not move very well at all in practice. And then we lost Brickayla Gray, that has blood clots that we thought was expected to play. And then Malia was out for many weeks with a concussion and a bone bruise. So when we started the year, you thought things were going to be really good, and then we just kind of hit a wall. And it's like we were struggling. And I think one of the reasons that we struggled in segments of our conference play is because we got to a point where Dom couldn't really practice. You know, she'd practice a little bit the day before the game. Femi would practice a little bit the day before the game. So now you've got other players. Your chemistry's kind of screwed up, basically. And so now you've got other players that are having to learn how to step up, how to play different roles. Everything's then Dom goes out. We play at Texas State. She gets hit first play of the second quarter. Now she's out. Other players have to step up and play. Not just Malia Grayson, but Rose Warren has to step up. Jacoria Braces has to step up. Lonnie Cornfield. Everybody has to step up. So what's happened is we started out the year, you know, and Dom was our carrying us. Everybody was learning their roles, and then bam, it all changed. And so now you've got players that have to have new roles. So I think that had a lot to do with our rough patch where we struggled. And now I think some of those players have adjusted and taken on responsibility that they've got to be players. You know, they can't just count on, because early in our season, Dom was taking 25 shots and the next person was taking 8. It was kind of like they were just watching her. And you can't win against really good teams that way at all. And so I think everyone now has really kind of played their role, taken ownership in it, and I think that's why we have begun to play well down the stretch.
I mean, could y'all just take us through that last game? Obviously, knowing that just going into last week, knowing that it was going to be a big week, and it kind of set up to be, you know, just that wild finish in overtime. How did y'all kind of push past that and, you know, set the tone in those final minutes of the game?
We all knew it was a big week. You know, a lot of us on the team, we haven't really experienced winning a championship. A lot of us been close, you know, in high school and things like that. But we never experienced it. And so when we heard our coaches and people who have experienced, like, it's the best feeling ever, and we wanted that feeling. So we knew going into the week it was really, really important, and we knew that we needed other people to do some things for us, but we were going to try to do everything we could. So going into that last game, we had it closer than we wanted to, and we got an extra 5 minutes of basketball, and we buckled down and did what we had to do to get a win and share that championship title.
And Dom, Coach has been on here before kind of talking about how in those moments, you know, you have that instinct, you know, you want the ball in your hands to, you know, get that shot. You scored 9 points.
In overtime.
Yeah, and just in overtime, of the 12 points scored, you know, what was it like for you just in those final minutes? You know, what was going through your head?
You know, those are probably my favorite moments in this game. You know, I played this game for a long time, for the majority of my life, and those are the moments that I kind of want to be a part of. Those games, those close games, are really the games that I look forward to, because that's when you really see what you're made of and how good of a player you really are. So just in that overtime, I knew I had struggled personally throughout the game, so I knew if we wanted to get the win, I would have to step outside myself and just buckle down and help my teammates, you know, because they helped me every day. So it was my turn to repay the favor and get that win.
You know, she played phenomenal in that overtime game and the overtime. I mean, she defended, she rebounded, she scored. I mean, she did a little bit of everything. And, you know, in the first 40 minutes of the game, we were struggling a little bit with her defensively, and we were on her defensively. You got to guard, you got to guard, you got to guard. And I will tell you, when she guarded in crunch time, and that's what I told her after the game. I said, if you guard that way for us from the start of the game, we don't have to have our nerves that way at the end of the game. But she really did. She stepped up, and she's no doubt took control of that game in overtime. I think when you look at our overtime games, we've lost one and we've won two. I think we've seen a lot of growth in our team as a whole. But as we all know, on every team, there has to be one player that you can count on. There has to be a player that you count on. And, you know, I think Dom obviously is is one of those players. And I actually looked to Coach Trosper before the overtime started, and I said, do we start Dom? Because she has not done much of nothing. He said, you have believed in that child the whole time. Why are you going to stop believing in her now? I said, well, I'm going to give her one possession. If she don't guard somebody, then I'm pulling her out. And, buddy, she took control of that game and really went and got the win for us. She really did.
I know you have some kind of bigger fish to fry now, as Jackson would probably say. But, have you been able to kind of reflect on what this means just for the program?
I have. And I've sent emails out to former players, which I do every Monday. Because it's just so much bigger. And I don't know that our players even really understand that. But it's so much bigger than just winning it for this team right now. I mean, it's big for the program. I mean, it's been a long time since a championship has been won in regular season. And, a tournament championship is wonderful. That's what gets you in the NCAA tournament. But a tournament championship for us will be 120 minutes. A regular season championship starts in November and lasts for months. It's a journey. It's a very long journey. It doesn't start and end in 120 minutes. And I think when you measure that over time, what our team has done and the growth that it has along this journey is just simply amazing. And the way I look at it, it is the people that have played before us that wore the black and gold, that paved the way, that gave opportunities for us that maybe we don't even realize. And so from that, it in turn opens doors of opportunities for us. And I'll give you an example. Like this morning, I talked to the WNIT. And one of the things I talked about to them was the success that we've had in previous years in the NIT. Obviously, our ultimate goal is to play in the NCAA tournament. But the NIT had reached out, so we talked to them. And what I talked about is the program before, the players, the teams before us that led us to the Elite Eight of the NIT here when we set the record for attendance and lost to Michigan right there at the end of that game when we had 5,480 in the Coliseum. And the game right before that in that tournament, we had 3,000. The first game, we had 2,000. And, of how that we got to see that grow. And so it's those teams, the team after that got us to the Sweet 16 of the WNIT. It's those teams that paved the way, that helped us earn a reputation to be able to even be recognized by someone in the NIT. And so it is the people that are before us. And so we've worked hard to be able to make them proud as well because of what they've done for the program. And I'm just really proud. We talked last year with Dom and them about hanging a banner. And, they get to hang a banner. I'm just so proud that they get to hang a banner as a group of players. You don't get that every day because that is going through the grunt work. That's going through tears. I mean, there's crying that goes on. There's, feeling like you're at the end of your rope and you're not going to be able to push through. I mean, it's a challenge. And so we take that as our foundation this year, and that's what we hope will carry us through to play 120 minutes to win a championship, to get in the NCAA tournament. We talk about the blue dot, and that's where we want to be, is we want to get the blue dot.
Of course. And, Coach, you talked about that last week. You talked about 80 minutes. Now it's 120 minutes. And it was those 80 minutes that, got you to this regular season title. Now, kind of, talking about 120 minutes, what's going to be the message going forward to the team?
Well, today I asked them, before we got on the floor for practice, I said, what areas, because I like to hear what they have to say. So I asked them, I said, what do you think are areas we need to improve on offensively? And so they stated some. What areas do you think we need to improve defensively? And of course they mentioned it. What are things that we have to do to win the championship? And it really boils down to rebounding, dominating the glass. You've got to out-rebound folks. You've got to go get second-chance points off offensive glass. You've got to eliminate second-chance points. It's called a free possession is what I call it. that they go get it. We go get an extra possession. You've got to value the basketball. You've got to take care of the basketball. You can't have 20 turnovers and expect to win a game this time of the year. You've got to take care of the basketball. And the third thing is, it's what every one of them had in the message was, we have to communicate. We have to be able to talk because, for example, in the Louisiana Lafayette game, it happened twice. We were in 2 different defenses because it was not repeated, where some players heard the call and it was not repeated. So I think those are 3 things that's got to happen for us. And with all of the things they said, like they talked about relocating off the ball. Yes, we got to do that. Yes, we've got to play inside out. Yes, we've got to hit some outside shots. And I even asked them, I said, okay, so if you're coaching against us, how are you going to guard us? What are you going to do to us? How are you going to guard us? And, of course, they gave their opinions. And I said, okay, so that's probably what the opponents are thinking too. So this is what we've got to do. How are we going to prepare? If you're scouting yourself, how are you going to prepare? And, we talked about extra shots and finding time to get ready for that 120 minutes. And I said, 120 minutes is not that long. I said, all year is a long time, but 120 minutes is not. And so I think if we can lock in on dominating the glass, we have to out-rebound folks, and we have to take care of the basketball, and we've got to communicate, where we are defensively, calling out ball screens. And I think if you do those things, then they've all said it today, that's how you're going to win in 120 minutes. That's how you're going to advance from the first 40 to get to the second 40 in order to make that happen.
Dom, just talk about the players' mindset right now. I mean, obviously, as you've been hearing, a potential berth at an NCAA tournament, something the school hasn't seen in either men's or women's in a long time. Is that kind of in the back of your head as you're preparing? You're just focusing on that first game, or is that, obviously it's the end goal, but just kind of what's the players' mindset coming into this weekend?
We're focused. It's something we talk about putting that blue dot up, and that's something that, as a team, that we're really focused on, but we know that we have to play these games first to get us there. We know if we take it game by game and being like where we're at and not getting too far ahead of ourselves, then we can really, actually make what our big goal happen, because a lot of us, we didn't get to really experience it. I almost got to experience it before I came here at LSU, but, COVID happened, so I haven't experienced it myself. So I know a lot of people on the team want to feel what it's like to be able to say they went to the NCAA tournament. So that's definitely our goal, but we know we have to be present to get to that. So we're focused and we're ready,
Dom, could you speak to me about the end of the season awards? For the viewers out there that don't know, Domonique Davis was awarded first team all-conference for the Sun Belt, and she is a Gilliam Trophy finalist for the best collegiate women's basketball player in the state. That'll be announced on Friday. But Dom, just talk to me about some of those awards and, what does that mean for you going forward?
All glory to God, first and foremost. But it's great. I mean, shout out to my teammates as well, pushing me, my coaches, my family, friends, just pushing me, getting there. It's been a tough year, definitely, with injuries and things like that. But it was a goal. When I came here, I told them I wanted to win championships, and I wanted to, we knew winning championships would give me those individual awards. And last year I did really well. So then when we had our end of the year meeting, I wanted to build on that. I wanted to be another first team, just be consistent with that, and I wanted to win Player of the Year. That didn't happen, but that just adds fuel to the fire. They gonna have to look out at the tournament, because that just kind of threw some extra wood down there. So, but I mean, it feels great. All the hard work after all these years is paying off. At one point I kind of thought this wasn't, it just sitting those 2 years at LSU, but coming here and having my coaches and teammates believe in me has been amazing. Being able to just showcase, basketball this year. I kind of got some national recognition with the NCAA and things like that as well. So it's been, great, but that doesn't come. That only comes when we win. So as long as we're winning, I'm happy.
And just going back to the kind of the wall in this season, just what was that journey like, of getting past it? I know you kind of spoke on it, but maybe just from mindset inside the locker room, how y'all were trying to, get into the win column again, just find that chemistry on the court.
Yeah, it was tough. We went through a lot of things physically and mentally. You know, at one point in the season, it just felt like everything was on our shoulders, and we didn't know how we were gonna get back to where we started. You know, and so we just rallied as a team, and we knew we had the person next to us. We knew that we were playing for the person to the left of us and to the right of us. And when things got hard, we just, came closer and closer, because that's how we win, is when we're together. When we started going our separate ways, mentally, not necessarily physically, that's where it kind of messes up. So we, over the time, just got closer and closer. Like Coach said, injuries kind of took a toll on us, but we have some tough players, and we're just constantly trying to push forward and just stay together.
And I know some people kind of say, obviously, you want the double bye, but it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because you might be going against a team that just played won a game,
Got
or
their
even
jitters
2
out.
games. Yeah. So, what's the process like trying to get the team to be ready from that tip-off going against the team?
You're exactly right, because, that team that plays before you is the team that's got all the jitters out. They were nervous for their first game. We get the opportunity to play the first game, and so we're going to be a little nervous to tip that game off, obviously. And whomever that will be. We've played ULM, we've played Arkansas State, but we've never played Georgia Southern. And they're one of the teams, they got a single bye, and they'll play the winner of ULM and Arkansas State. So, it's going to be interesting. We just, as coaches, have to really make sure we do a great job of holding our group accountable, just to stay locked in so that they can relax and have fun. It's easy to have fun when you're locked in and accomplishing play-by-play in practice. But when you're struggling in practice, and now your coaches are all over your butt, now that's when things kind of begin to go south. But it's our job to hold them accountable, and then their teammates have got to be there to try to help them rebound, so then it can be fun. So you may turn the ball over twice, but you've got to now get 2 buckets. You got to bounce back in that, and then we can all celebrate that victory.
We all be watching the game right before y'all's to see.
Oh yes,
as a team?
actually, we will be. We'll get down there at 5:00 on Wednesday. We want to be there by then. We'll practice here Wednesday morning, and we'll get there so that we can watch that game. We will watch the other game, ULM and Arkansas State, via internet on ESPN Plus. We'll watch that. We just felt like it was more important for us to practice here, them sleep in their own beds, and us watch it practice Wednesday morning. Coach Jay Ladner is awesome to work with. So he has given us their practice time, and they'll practice in the afternoon, because they don't have to go down, they don't play till Saturday. So we can practice that morning and leave and get down there for the 5:00 game. So that'll give us that opportunity. So we'll get to have another night in our own beds, because I'll be honest with you, when you go down there and you're practicing in a high school gym somewhere, you don't know if the floor is slick, you don't know what the surroundings are, our PE class is going to be in there. You just don't know. I'll be honest with you. And so, or if you're in a rec center, you've got little kids over there playing the next court. So it's a sacrifice for us to not be able to see them in person, but we can watch it on film, and if they run a play, we can always rewind it. You can't do that when you watch it in person. So we feel like that's more important for us to do that and have a really productive practice here with our team before getting down there, because really and truly that will be the last productive practice we will have will be on Wednesday.
Of course, Coach. Thank you and Don for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
Is there any last words you would like to share with us before we get you out of here?
I'd just like to thank you guys for having us on. We just really appreciate you all. It's always a lot of fun. I know you all are students and you work very hard, and you all just put together an awesome show. And I see you all everywhere. You're at our games, and I don't know how y'all study. You must be really smart, or you got a lot of girlfriends that help you out sometime. I'm not quite sure, but obviously you make good grades. But really proud of you all and wish you all much, much success. And actually, when I saw you down when I was recruiting, I was like, oh my goodness, he's already hired at WDAM. And I saw you at the press conference the other night. I'm like, He's holding the WDAM mic. He's already hired.
Yeah.
And so wish you all guys the best of luck. And I hope that a lot of our fans will come on down Friday night and watch us and catch them in on Saturday. Because I tell you what, it's a beach trip, but for us, it's a business trip.
Of course.
So,
All right. Dom,
Thank
you
you.
got anything?
And just hope to see a lot of fans out there, and thank y'all for having us.
Of course. Ladies and gentlemen, that was head coach Joye Lee-McNelis and Domonique Davis of the women's basketball team as they'll be traveling to Pensacola this weekend to begin the Sun Belt Tournament. We will be back with our flowers section coming up, brought to you by University Florists and Gifts down there on Highway 49 here in Hattiesburg. We'll be back for more. This is 4th Street in a little bit.
It's that time of the show. We're now giving flowers.
Shout out to Logan Maxwell again for our flowers segment. Just intro right there. I saw that guy earlier today. He asked me for a bag of chips, and I didn't give him none. I'll probably have to buy him a bag of chips after this, man.
At least. You know, he's the voice of our flowers.
I know he's the voice of the flowers section, man. I'll have to track him down. But currently, man, I'm sorry, Logan, if you're listening.
Made him sound like a bum, dude.
He's not a bum. He's a real-rounded guy, man. Shout out to Logan, man. But right before we get into our flower section, guys, let's just give an overview. I'll toss this over to you, Charlie, on the Sun Belt tournament details. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like we were talking with Coach McNelis, the Lady Eagles have the number 3 seed. Even though they won the regular season title, it's the three-way tiebreaker.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, so very interesting. But they're set to face the winner of Georgia Southern. Like Coach said, they haven't faced them yet, versus either Arkansas State or ULM in the quarterfinals. So that match will be played at 5 p.m. this Friday at the Pensacola Bay Center. So it's the winner of Georgia Southern versus either Arkansas State or ULM. Because they play, Georgia State has like the one bye.
One bye, yeah.
So on the men's side, this is what we were just talking over the break. Interesting storyline here. I think it's set up to be Southern Miss versus South Alabama. Unfortunately for Southern Miss, but it's their chance to respond.
Never.
Yeah, never say never. South Alabama, obviously, Nathan, Deem, and I went to that game. Wow. South Alabama looks like, South Alabama, I don't know what they look like. Alabama out there.
I don't know what they look like.
Oh my gosh. To have to possibly face a team that just, beat you by 30 points a couple of weeks ago, that's tough. And we were just looking, South Alabama beat App State, who they're playing in the tournament to open up. They beat them earlier this season, 80-58.
77-54.
54, so about the same, yeah. Dominated them. So you never know. You never know in these tournaments, but it looks like it could be South Alabama versus Southern Miss. That would be a fun matchup, though, to see if Southern Miss can respond.
I'm intrigued to watch that again.
Yeah,
I want to see that. Yeah, I want to see how Southern Miss responds from getting obliterated 2 weeks ago. So
there's obviously high hopes for Southern Miss in this tournament, and they might have to face the team that handed them their worst.
Yeah, but I mean, Southern Miss did beat South Alabama earlier in the season.
Yes, they did.
So they split the season series. So
that's true.
It's nothing. It's not like they got blown out both times.
A thing that I would be kind of looking forward to is seeing, of course, both of those teams won at home. South Al and Mobile. Southern Miss defeated South Al here. It's a neutral site, of course, but kind of just going to see like the difference of fans and just will there be more South Al fans because it's a little bit closer to Pensacola or Southern Miss. I think it'll be a fanfare, and I think that'll make a huge difference in the game if they do play. But South Al has to get past Appalachian State first, so we'll see about that.
And Southern Miss will know this. The South Al App State game is like Thursday at 11 a.m. or something, so they're going to know. We're gonna know pretty quick who's it gonna be on Saturday.
Yeah, we will know about that. But without further ado, we're gonna go into our 4th Street Player of the Week, which is, drum roll please, none other than Felipe Hasse, who had 26 points and 3 assists versus Texas State, and earlier in the week against Georgia State would have 13 points, 9.
Old Dominion.
Oh, Dominion.
It's 18 points.
18 points. Ah, man, the script lied. The script.
We went off script.
We went off script. Oh, man. Well, shout out 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists against.
That wasn't right either.
Oh, God.
18 points. But Felipe, congratulations.
Yeah.
4 times.
4 times.
We messed up on the 4th time. It's whatever.
Sheesh. But yeah, 4 times, man. Felipe, man, you got to get these flowers.
Yeah, you got to get.
I think he's got like 3 of them in.
University Flores has been giving you flowers, man.
You gotta get the flowers, man. Give it to some special ladies out there. Also,
we'll bring him to Pensacola.
Side story. There's actually, I think she's a band member or something, but It's this board always at the home games at the Reed Green. Yeah, I love you, Felipe, and it's always like going around. So hey, Felipe, you have Myra. I'm pretty sure he knows who it is by now, but I think she would be a lucky candidate if he doesn't have anyone.
I think like Austin Crowley was talking about that in a post-game press conference.
That was DeAndre.
Oh, DeAndre, yeah, and he was like, "I love you, Felipe."
Yeah, so shout out to Felipe for his phenomenal work this week and 4 times.
Yeah, 4 times.
4 times.
Yeah.
4 times.
Is that a record?
What's
that is a record.
That is a record.
Oh, man, the script is scripting. But, hey, I'm going to be saying that a lot now. But also, flowers to Santrell Latham, who was selected by the Michigan Panthers with the 16th pick in the 3rd round of the USFL college draft. So shout out to him. And Kenzie Smith and Mia Wesley of the volleyball team will participate in the women's national team open program in Colorado Springs this weekend. So congratulations to both of those ladies who are phenomenal studs on the volleyball team. So congratulations to them for that. And those are our flowers.
Yeah, we also
go ahead
at the last moment right before we're coming in the show. Flowers to head coach Jay Ladner winning the Sun Belt Coach of the Year 7-26 program last year into a 25-6 program the very next year. Very crazy.
What
very
a turnaround. 18 games? 18-game turnaround.
Yeah.
And
the record's 19 NCAA of all time.
So one of the best.
If Southern Miss wins the Sun Belt title, they would be the record holder of the biggest turnaround in NCAA history.
Who would play Jay Ladner in a movie? Would it be the guy who played Sean Payton? Kevin James. Yeah, Kevin James. I feel like Kevin James could do it. Yeah. Oh, man. Anyway.
Somebody would play us as the press.
Man, somebody has to play one.
Michael B. Jordan, Austin. Who would be me?
Michael B. Jordan.
I feel like Paul Rudd for me. Who would be Jackson?
I don't know.
Man, that'll be some type of movie.
Okay,
mine would be Matt Damon. Would give me.
We gotta get out of here. We got 2 minutes left. We just want to say also name to Sun Belt Conference teams: Austin Crowley, 1st team; Felipe, 2nd team; DeAndre Pickney, 3rd team. Congrats to them. And of course, we were talking about Davis being nominated, Gillum Trophy finalist, and all Sun Belt 1st team. Also, quick shout out: Austin Armstrong moved from Alabama after a month to Florida to become the defensive coordinator. So that's a huge step up. Crazy. And yeah, back with former Louisiana head coach.
Of course, and you missed one, Charlie. I'm sorry. But Austin, I mean, hey, man, my name is going around a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Austin Crowley is actually, he was a Howell Award finalist, and he was announced as the newcomer of the year for the Sun Belt Tourney. Not the Sun Belt Tourney, but for the Sun Belt. That's in my mind a lot. Conference. So
going too far ahead on the script.
Yeah, too far ahead. But yeah, that has been all. Oh, go ahead, Dima.
Oh, well, I'm just saying we got 1 minute to go.
I thought you were gonna add one more thing.
One more thing. Thank you, Austin, for being our host today.
Of course, man. Well, thank you. But yeah, that has been all for 4th Street Sports. We'll be in Pensacola. We'll have a lot of coverage, guys. A lot of coverage. I want to say a lot again. You got to do it 3 times. But that has been all for 4th Street. Make sure you follow us on all our social medias and keep up with us on Southern Miss Student Media to follow all of the post-game press conference reactions and comments that we have. And we'll be back next week on 4th Street Sports. That is all. It is Smooth All signing out with the guys, Dima, Nathan, Jackson, and Charlie. See you later.
Come back next Monday at 5 on Southern Miss Radio. 4th Street Sports, baby.